Hi guys, I finally received my second Aiyima A07 Max, so I was able to run them in mono mode using two of them as mono power amplifiers. Both were powered from this linear power supply by HiFi. So, what were my impressions and what can I tell you about this setup? And what changes against single Aiyima A07 Max. So the changes first. Obviously, you have more power because you are using two separate amplifiers, one for each speaker. Of course, in my case, the limiting factor still remains the linear power supply because both of them are being powered from the same brick here. But if you'll be using power supplies, power bricks that you're able to buy with them, you should have two of them, and then you can double the output power of the whole setup. That's the first thing. But that's for these ones of you that like to listen very loud. For me, 25 watts of pure power from this linear power supply is more than enough for my listening levels with quite efficient Martin Logan's XT 55 XTE because they have efficiency of I think 92 or 93 dB, so they are quite efficient. The second thing, the sound impressions. What changed? The separation is better. Each channel has its own completely separated amplifier, so there is no crosstalk whatsoever, at least nothing more than the digital to analog converter creates, and this makes the scene to be a bit wider and a bit more detailed. You are able to position the sounds and the instruments in a more precise way, so that's a plus. Now the minuses. The first thing is that, as you can see, you can still regulate the volume level. In order to operate them as monoblocks, you need to, let's unplug this one, you need to switch this to mono mode, and then you have to remember that the assignments of the inputs and the outputs have changed. If it's working, when it's working in mono mode, the signal input will be from the left channel only. So regardless of if it's right or left channel, from your digital to analog converter, on the side of this amplifier you will always be using only left input. Then the speaker will be connected between these two outputs, as you can see, they are marked here. The positive terminal is here, the negative terminal is here. The funny thing is that according to the manual, it's the opposite way. According to the manual, positive terminal is the one that's closer to the power source. So the manual says this one should be positive. The printout on the case says this one is positive. So I was using it with positive terminal connected here, and it was fine, I suppose. But I have to admit that I haven't checked the phase, the correctness of the phase. What's important is to have both speakers connected the same way. Okay. So what's irritating when it's working in mono mode? There is one thing. The thing is that in order to power it on, you are still using the potentiometer, and the thing is that the volume control works as it was working in stereo mode, so you are able to change the volume levels of both channels. This may be good if you want to do some balancing between channels, between your speakers, but the problem is that if you do not want to use this, let's call it feature, if you want to have them on the same volume level, you always will have to put them here on the max volume level, and you'll have to trust that both of them are within the specified volume limits. So what I mean by that is that they'll have the same output power and the same output level. If there are some mismatches, if there are some differences coming from different batches of the products, you won't have possibly the same volume level on both channels. And if the difference is small enough, you won't be able to notice that. But I guess in theory it's possible to have two units that will be mismatched. Okay, so that's it. The other problem is that, of course, if you remember, you can do something like that. So it doesn't look so good right now, yeah? So you'll have to trust that they are more or less in the same position. Not right now. I guess now it's more or less fine. So that's it. All in all, I think I will recommend this setup because this is basically the cheapest way to have two completely separated monoblocks with Class D amplifiers, good quality Class D amplifiers with quality parts inside, and to use them as separated monoblocks with good quality digital to analog converter. Each one of them was like $50 because I wasn't buying them with power supplies. Obviously, I have my own, one of my own. So for both amplifiers, that's $100, and then the power source would be something like $60-70 for this linear power supply, and you're good to go. What would be the next step from me? I think I'll try to find and purchase the Fosi amplifier that the current hype is about. The one based on TDA 3255, but including XLR inputs. Why? Because recently I bought and reviewed this semi-brief DA50 AK4499 digital to analog converter, and it has XLR balanced outputs. So I'm pretty curious about the advantages of XLR over standard RCA. I mean, in all of my experience using balanced outputs, balanced setup, be it with headphones or speakers, always rewarded me with better stereo imaging, tiny bit better, but with way better dynamics. Dynamic range with XLRs with completely balanced setup was, in my experience, always better, which probably was coming from the fact that the voltage swings on the XLR lines are higher. The maximum voltage output on the XLR is also twice higher, and in practice this means that if your signal goes up or down within the same unit of time, you will have higher voltage swing. So this means that you'll be able to get more dynamics from your sound, and that was my experience. So anyway, I'll buy Fosi amplifier with XLR inputs and try to compare them with this double Aiyima A07 Max in mono mode. As I was stating in my earlier review of the stereo Aiyima A07 Max, I'm very fond of them when they are using internal OPA 627 op-amps. And once again, this is my recommendation. If you can buy them, if you can source them, use OPA 627 or if you can afford them, OPA 828. OPA 828 replaces 627. This is basically the newer part with the same not the destination but usage. It's meant to be used in a highly precise medical and measuring equipment, which means that for audio purposes it's more than overkill. It's very precise and it's very detailed, and it has great bass and great treble. So if you boost them with good throw pumps, they will reward you with even better sound. And I think that's it. If you can afford them, and that's a rhetorical sentence, because I think everyone can afford $100, or maybe most of us can afford $100 for 2 separate power amplifiers. Buy them. It's a great cheap setup, and that works wonder. It's basically amazing what you can get these days for that little amount of money. So, see you next time.